See, I knew this Epstein stuff was a distraction from something. The BRICS Economic Summit just happened, and Mexico was featured, meaning the de-dollarization of the world is literally at our doorstep. While we're running circles around Epstein, we're being encircled by a new economic order, and America and the West are literally too violent and cutthroat to be a part of it. Trump's instability and tariffs are accelerating de-dollarization of the world, and that was talked about at the BRICS Summit, and they pushing back, and instead of using that dollar to do their trade, they just going around us, y'all. Just to catch y'all up, the BRICS nations is an acronym Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, but it's more than them. They got like 20 some odd member states now, and Mexico, had they not been our largest trading partner, a lot of people say would have been joined up. The BRICS is developing markets, and they're creating mutually beneficial deals. They have an entire business model. It's a Chinese Belt and Road Initiative versus the West Bomb and Raid Initiative. In other words, the rest of the world had to figure out how to make money outside of blowing people up. The West know how to do that. Israel know how to do that. America know how to do that. Regime change and private military contractors and our military industrial complex. Turns out you can only blow so much stuff up before the stock market start falling. The rest of the world has started to see that you can't rely on the West. The very same thing that even Vladimir Putin says, you can't trust them. They go back on their word. The same thing happened with our relationships with Iran, where first they was in a nuclear deal, then Trump took them out the nuclear deal, then it looked like he was about to negotiate it back in, and then he just blew up the diplomats. Israel started killing a nuclear scientist. Like, you can't do business like that. It's bad for money. But if somebody else comes up with a way to create trade in a peaceful, constructive way, then the world gonna get on board with that. Like, wouldn't you? You can't get to the Jetsons by doing business the way America do business. Like, you have to figure out a way to create power through building leverage and mutual beneficial relationships. And as the world starts to not trust America, China and Brazil and possibly Mexico and definitely parts of Africa are stepping into the void to create what's called a multipolar world power. It means that America is going to have to imagine itself post-imperially. We have an empire, and there's a lot of other countries that had empires. England, Spain, France, Germany. They had empires, they lost their empires, and then domestically, after a very rough period, things began to improve. We know that empires are expensive. Colonial projects are exhausting. It is not only materially taxing, but spiritually taxing. And soldiers come back, they're committing suicide. They don't want to do it. The morale is low, and the people don't want these projects anymore because they're suffering, because they're deprived. So maybe we should start embracing and imagining a post-imperial America, how we want it to look, before we're forced to see what that looks like after somebody kicks our ass in a world war. It's crazy to me. It didn't have to be this way. I'm old enough to remember the end of the Clinton administration. Let me tell you something. America's profile in the world was super high. We were counting down the debt clock. And when we engaged in a war on terror, we broke all of that and created the vacuum that now the BRICS nations are stepping into. That's the short of it, but that's the real of it. Do you want a world that works for everybody, even if that's a world that we're not on top of, ruling with hegemony in an iron fist? If that's something that you want, and a lot of Americans want that, then we got to uproot its causes domestically before we could enjoy it globally. That's just my thoughts. I'm Theo E.J. Wilson, aka Kid Charisma. Holla back.